Joined by Zizo Almaayouf. First of all, thanks for joining me. How's camp going?
Everything is good now. The work is done. Fight week, and the fight is the fun part, you know. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to just go out there, show people my improvements and show people what they want to see in a trailblazer, in a history maker, and go back see my family after. I miss them so much. I can't wait.
Oh, I can imagine. Obviously, you've been working very hard during camp. What's the build-up been like? With obviously in terms of obviously a big event in Wrocław, Poland. It's obviously on the undercard of Usyk Dubois. How's that differ to any of the other fights you've been on?
I mean, it's really the same in terms of, media and all that, but in terms of my preparation, I put in a 12-week camp this
Yeah.
time, 3 months of hard work. I'm back at 140. My last two fights were at 147. I debuted at 140. Now I'm back at 140. 3 months of work just because I realized that my work this far has taken me that far,
Yeah.
and that far isn't going to be enough to go as far as I want to go, and as far as my people want me to go, my country in Saudi Arabia want me to go, and the Arab world need me to go. I need to do it for them. So
Yeah.
I know I put in a lot of work, and I'm excited for everyone to see.
Would you say 140 is your best fighting weight?
Oh, definitely, definitely. The only reason I was at 147 is because I fractured my hand in the first fight.
Right.
And so when you come from a hand injury, you can't have a hard weight cut after because your body doesn't absorb the calcium and the vitamins and all that. But now everything is good. Now that the other two fights are done with and we're back at 140, feel much lighter, much faster, and the best is yet to come.
Brilliant to hear. Obviously, the Usyk Dubois is quite a big fight regarding the heavyweight division. What would your prediction be for this fight? Obviously, Dubois is a massive underdog going into the contest.
I think I'll have to go with my stablemate, my promotional stablemate, Usyk.
Yeah,
I just feel like Usyk is such an idol outside and inside the ring, man. The boxers are made up of the fights they go through outside of the ring, not inside. And
yeah,
what this man has been through and he's still going through in terms of, his country, his
yeah,
people, how he's being a trailblazer. And also, I heard about the loss of his father and how he's been working through that and all of this. It's just he's such a big idol in what he's achieved in the ring as well, being undisputed at cruiserweight and then doing it now, chasing to do it at heavyweight. It's gonna be a great fight. I feel though Daniel Dubois has faced some difficulties against Southpaw fighters, and Usyk is not a Southpaw fighter. Usyk is a Southpaw magician,
yeah.
but again, with a big puncher like Daniel Dubois, and in the heavyweight division, you never know. And you can never say that this fight could go the distance in 12 rounds and Daniel Dubois is not going to land a single hard punch. You never know. The guy's a big puncher
He is.
and the size is huge, so again, underdog, he's it sometimes brings the best in people.
Obviously, you touched on his being a bit of a trailblazer, Usyk. Obviously, he has fought in Saudi Arabia before. What does it mean to the people of Saudi Arabia to have such a iconic fight, like modern day fighter, to actually fight in Saudi Arabia and bring eyes to boxing over there?
It's what dreams are made of, man. It's what
Yeah,
dreams are made of. People have always, wanted something like that to happen in Saudi Arabia. And now Saudi Arabia with Vision 2030, one of the biggest pillars in Vision 2030 is sports and athletes. And I'm more than happy and privileged and honored to be one of those individual athletes that could carry part of that pillar internationally in representing Saudi Arabia. But to also bring international events to Saudi Arabia is amazing, but there's a bigger picture to it in just bringing unity between cultures and peace between different races. You get to have the Arab world mix it up with the West and just learn from each other and kind of like coexist. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like when people go to Saudi Arabia for the first time, if they have their own conceptions or they've heard the rumors or they're going based on that, maybe they might fear what they don't
Mhm.
understand. It's natural. But when you go and there's a big event happening that you know you've been to before, like a Formula One, a boxing event, a football game, you as an international tourist visiting Saudi, you know that no matter how uncomfortable it gets, there's a part of your comfort zone that's happening in that country. And when you go, you get to see that there are so many people, despite differences in race, culture, backgrounds, we all share the same love for one thing.
Yeah.
And so we can interact in a better way. That's the bigger picture, of just like sharing that hospitality and sharing experiences and just coexisting peacefully and in love.
I think that's the most important thing. And like obviously you touched on Saudi. I think it's very important that we're having such big events in Saudi Arabia. Like obviously boxing wise, historically,
Mhm.
it's always been in like the iconic venues have been in like Las Vegas, Madison Square, like New York. And it must feel as like a obviously a proud member from Saudi Arabia that a lot of these big fights now everyone's gearing towards the Middle East because
Yeah.
they're putting on such huge spectacles, and I think everyone can get behind it as whether you're Muslim or not.
Yeah, exactly. Because now it's larger than that. It's
Yeah,
bigger than that, and we now share more than that between
yeah,
us all. The Arab world and the West now share more than just differences in language, religion, culture. We share more than that now between us. We share a passion in sports, a passion in events. Guessing what's gonna happen in this event, that event, this fighter, that fighter. There's more now that we could relate to between us all. And that's the beautiful thing about what's happening in Saudi Arabia and what's happening, with the world coming to visit Saudi Arabia.
yeah,
If it's for an event, sometimes they come for the event, but when they leave, they choose to come back
yeah,
just for leisure. So it's just amazing. I feel like this is not the like not only are we at the peak time for sports in the Arab world, but we're also in a peak time for the world,
yeah.
and how we are just, uniting in terms of sports and stuff. Of course, it's expected and it's, welcomed as well, criticism and, talks about sport washing, this or that. It's nothing that, Saudi Arabia doesn't expect. It's nothing
No.
that we as people should run away from or not expect. There's always going to be critics and haters for anything we do, but we have to look at it half full.
Exactly. I think as well you've got to put in perspective that it's kind of a new thing in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, we've had the World Cup in Qatar, and I think it's just brilliant that that side of the world's getting such a positive exposure. Like you said, obviously there's misconceptions of what it's like over there, and it's good to see that it's not the case. Like it's actually obviously such a beautiful place, or
Exactly.
and that people should like you say go in not expecting anything, but just in taking it in and enjoying it.
Go and see for yourself. Go and see for yourself. Me and you could share the same exact experiences, but have different outcomes and opinions on
Yeah,
it after. So if we base our life based on the opinions and the expectations of other people, then how far are we gonna go and grow as our individual own? So I mean, just go and see for yourself. And if you are worried or if you feel uncomfortable, at least you know that when you're going to have an event that you are very familiar with. If
yeah,
you love Formula One, you have it there. If you love golf, you'll have an event there. Music festivals, you'll have it there. Boxing, and so on and so on.
yeah,
So it's good. And like you said, it's in the modern days, whenever a big fight is announced, the first name that comes into people's mind for a location is Saudi Arabia.
yeah,
And that's such an amazing thing. The thing that Skill Challenge and Prince Khalid has been doing with boxing is crazy. And then you have the Crown Prince, His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, and he's the one that instilled that vision 2030, where again, it's not only a vision for the Arab world and the Saudis, but when you look at the bigger picture, you pause and you zoom out, it's a vision for all of us.
It is,
It's a
yeah,
vision for just a better, more peaceful, interactive world.
definitely. Obviously, fighting in Poland this week. How have you found camp in Poland? How have you managed to explore Poland? How have you been received?
I mean, I did 6 weeks of my camp in Florida in the
Yeah,
US, and then I did 6 weeks in the UK, four of them in Manchester, two of them in Liverpool. And the world tour continues.
yeah,
It's just if you know my story, you know that I'm giving all my time and all my energy to just those travels around the world with my coach Buddy McGirt,
yeah,
trying to get that experience that I've missed on a lot on when I was younger coming up,
yeah,
and not having that same amateur scene in the Arab world as you do internationally. We don't have that same we didn't have that same importance and like dedication to the sport of boxing. And I like being the first to do it for my country in Saudi Arabia and the first local trained Arab to turn professional internationally is just a privilege. But with that much privilege also comes a lot of pressure,
yeah,
and I have to make sure it's on me that I live up to those expectations and that pressure by putting in the work. What is given can be taken away at any minute, and so I have to show God and show the universe that I am worthy and deserving of this every single day. Camp has been great, as I said, 3 months of camp, 12 weeks. It's physically another level,
yeah,
mentally another level, but then emotionally, people don't understand that when I leave, I don't only leave, my comfort zone behind. I leave my parents behind. I leave my siblings behind. I leave my culture, my family, my country. I leave everything behind, and I throw myself in a deep ocean of uncomfort zones. But this is how we grow. We
yeah.
grow when we are put under stress and pressure. And I'm just soaking it all in. Again, the most important thing is who I'm doing it for, because who I'm doing it for is what I'm made of.
Exactly like you touched on. Obviously, you're basically a trailblazer, obviously from Saudi Arabia. I was going to say, how do you cope with the pressure of being, do you know, like you're basically a star over there, and obviously you're building your reputation and your resume. And, like, how do you cope with the expectation of like having such a big country behind you?
I just welcome it. I
Yeah,
welcome the pressure. I welcome the doubts, the fears. I welcome the critics. I welcome everything, because it would be selfish of me to expect that I'm gonna be on such a big journey. And like you said, trailblazing. When you're the first to do something, you're going to be the first to make a lot of mistakes. And your job ultimately is not only to become the best version you can be, but to help others become the best version they can be easier than you had to go through
yeah,
it.
like
So
giving back.
that's exactly, exactly. And to make sure the professional athletes who will come after me, even the amateur athletes who are going to come after me in the sport of boxing from Saudi Arabia and the Arab world, will have it easier than I did. I had no blueprint. And so, I welcome all the critics. I welcome all the pressure. The pressure gives me something to rise up to. And sometimes I will rise up to it perfectly. And other times I will rise up to it with a struggle. But make no mistake, God willing, I will always rise up to it because I put in the work. And so when you have such a huge history making country in Saudi Arabia behind you, and you have such a history making story that's happening right now with our boxing and what we're doing, it's just, it's like two birds with one stone.
Yeah,
It's amazing. You get to be that Manny Pacquiao, that Miguel Cotto, that Conor McGregor, that Mo Salah, even.
yeah,
You
yeah,
get to be that, you get to be that. So it's a lot of good. It comes with a lot of struggles, but I'll have to ride that horse till the wheels come off. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Also, like, there's obviously talk of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder fighting in Saudi Arabia. Obviously another massive event. What would it mean to fight on that card? Obviously continue to fight, to promote fights in Saudi Arabia
There's
with the
no
biggest
getting
names.
used to there's no getting used to your dreams coming true.
No.
There's no getting used to your prayers getting answered. And that's what I dream and pray about every single day, being on these big cards and being a symbol of hope for not only Saudi Arabia, but not only the Arab world, but for anyone
Yeah.
who has a hope of doing something. I get to show them that despite nothing being given in the beginning, despite the no equipment, despite the cards being stacked against you, if you stay on the road, if you never quit, there is absolutely no way you won't make it. It's just, it's think about it, it's like the law of attraction. You
Yeah.
know, the more you just keep on the road, the more you get to convince God and the universe that you are worthy and deserving of it. It will come. Just never give up. Don't base it on the timing and expectations of others, because that's what makes us stop after attempting to do it in the beginning. But go on your own journey, go on your own story, write your own book, but never stop writing the book, because that's how you'll make it. So it would be a dream come true to fight on a card like AJ and Wilder if it comes through and
Mm.
happens in Saudi Arabia. And you know, I'm just again, though have to go back, I have to save that energy, stay in the present, take it day by day. My main focus is Saturday night, Usyk Dubois.
Yeah. Obviously, we obviously you mentioned Buddy McGill. What's it like? What's that training under such obviously a renowned past two-weight world champion, obviously, and a very successful trainer as well.
It's like, you know what? It's like saying a football player is training with Ronaldinho, Zinedine Zidane, or if it's, you know, Messi, Ronaldo. It's like saying that, you know, it's like, what does it feel like to be coached by Pep Guardiola or
Yeah.
Klopp? So it's like, that's how I feel like with Buddy, you know, anything he says, I do without thinking twice.
Yeah.
If Buddy says, wake up at 4 a.m., if he shouts, wake up and jab, I'll wake up and jab. That's just how it is. And the beautiful thing about Coach Buddy is, like you said, he's been there, done that, and at exactly the weight divisions that
Mm.
I'm trying to be there and do that as well. He's achieved a lot. He's fought a lot of greats, beat a lot of greats. He's a Hall of Famer, and he just understands the game in and out. And the relationship I have with Coach Buddy is like a father-son relationship, where he wants to see me become not only the best boxer and fighter I can be, but the best person. And I see that in him too. I see a person that I look up to, not a fighter, not a boxer. I see a person that I
Mm.
look up to, how he deals with people, how he gives back, how he always carries that calmness and composure in the midst of any chaos that's happening. You know, I just love that. You know, and I always say this quote, but I always say we always struggle to find and look up to idols and stick to them, because we try to look far away when sometimes they're right over our shoulders. You know, so for me, Coach Buddy is just an idol, and the stars aligned with me training with him long before my involvement with skill challenge for promotions, long before my involvement, long before Saudi Arabia's involvement in boxing, long before all of that, we started working together, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's just, yeah, like I said, your prayers get answered and your dreams come true.
And obviously, you're surrounded by great boxing people. Obviously, you're managed by Paul Smith Jr. What's it like? Obviously, a very successful professional in his own right. Obviously, it's the famous Smith brothers. It must be really great knowing you've got two people that you can rely on that have got your best interest in the sport.
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy because, you know, I've got Paul, but the way the Smith brothers work is, you when you've got one of them, you've got all of them.
Yeah.
You know, there's such an amazing family. You know, you get to pick up the phone at any time, call any of them, and they will pick up and help you with whatever you need, guide you with whatever you're going through. Callum has helped me through so much mentally in the sport. Liam was the first. When I won my debut, Liam Smith kicked in the door of the medics, you know, in the stadium in Saudi Arabia, and he just jumped in and he was celebrating with me, you know. But then Paul Smith really, as a manager and as a person and as a brother to them, not only them but also me, he kind of like ties them all together, and he brings me into that circle too. You know, Paul has, like you said, been there, done that, but he gives me that feeling that whatever happens, Paul's got my back. whatever happens, no one's ever gonna be able to, hurt me in any way, because if I know someone's got my back and someone's gonna make sure that's never gonna happen, it's Paul Smith and also the Smith brothers. And honestly, that's something I find even in the culture of Liverpool.
Yeah,
Liverpool is such a, I swear,
iconic
Liverpool
city.
is yeah, it's an iconic city, iconic people.
Mm,
If you walk into a restaurant or a shop in Liverpool, it's like you've walked into their home.
it is, yeah.
It's like, and you're one of the members of the family. It's that saying of you'll never walk alone. That it
So
goes
true.
all around the city. But yeah, that's what having Paul Smith feels like. You'll never walk alone. No matter what, he's always there at any time. And the person who I learned the most mentally, coping with pressures, stress, and all of this is Paul. He's really guided me, and he's taken the time to do so, patiently, because I go through it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And that's fine for me to say because it's expected, but I really do go through it mentally in the sport, especially with the pressure that I have to rise up to. But Paul
yeah,
teaches me how to save that energy, how to, maybe sometimes the best way to give importance something is to not give it importance at all, to
yeah,
not worry about it until it happens, until it comes, and it gives you that Zen mindset. And that's what I'm just learning with experience. I'm soaking it all in.
yeah. I bet you are. And obviously, I bet a massive. Obviously, it's great that obviously you've got probably got all of Liverpool behind you now.
Yeah, exactly. This time in Liverpool, I got noticed about 6 times in Liverpool. People just know I'm training at the Rotunda. People know that I'm managed by Paul. It's crazy. It was just it again, like I said, yeah, there's no getting used to living these dreams that you wouldn't even dare of where I came from, in the background I came from, the boxing background I came from. You wouldn't dare dream of that as a kid. Traveling around the world, being in Liverpool, people stop Liverpool out of all
Yeah,
places, people stopping you, asking for a picture, this and that. It's amazing. I just hope to keep making people proud and keep being that superhero and symbol of hope to not only anyone in boxing, but outside of boxing as well. I feel like the story we have going on right now, the road I'm walking right now is the road that's less walked, but is the road that's most watched. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And people love a story where you are, larger than life. You are
yeah.
larger than boxing, and I really want to keep going on my road to, God willing, reach that point.
Yeah, and I think how would you obviously you've trained in America and obviously you've spent a lot of time in the UK. How would you say that's impacted like your fighting style? Has it changed your opinion on anything or made you focus on
I
certain aspects of how other countries' fighters fight?
I, Look, I feel like I learned the most from traveling around and sparring different people and just these experiences. I learned the most that, like I said about Usyk, fighters are the battles they face outside of the ring, not inside the ring. And whatever they faced outside of the ring, making it to that ring is what's gonna give them that will. It's one thing to throw a punch, but it's another one to take one.
Yeah,
So taking a punch is very different than throwing one, and it's the punch you take and how you come back with it that really makes a difference. But that is all determined by what you went through outside of the ring, outside of boxing to make it to boxing and inside the ring. And it's a good place to share that experience with so many fighters, but also low key compete with all of them,
yeah. Like you say, obviously you come across as like a very like humble and focused guy, but it's quite. I think a lot of people like resonate with your story, like you say, like not giving up. Like you quite like you are a symbol, aren't you? Really?
You know what? I wish I am, and if I could, I love to share 100% of my stories, and I like to be 100%, like just open in what I go through
Yeah,
mentally, physically, all of that, because I know that not many people could relate 100%, but if only they could relate 5%, and I could help them in 5% of their journey or in 5% of their dream, in making it or in enjoying it and soaking up not only the ups but the downs. That's what I'm here for. And I wish, I'm a person that's straight blazing and a symbol of hope, because that's what I pray every night. asking for God that I become that symbol of hope, that every time I box, you know, it's because I represent so much more than boxing that night. When I win more than just the fight.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing I just want to touch on is obviously you've only had a few fights, but obviously your aspirations to win a world title. What would it mean for you to win a world title in Saudi Arabia or even your adoptive country of like the USA?
You know, look, if I mean, when you said that, I couldn't feel my legs, to be honest. When you said that, the blood flow
Yeah,
stopped going there, you know. So it would be, that's the dream. That's the dream. You know, one thing that people can never take away from you is being in history.
yeah,
And you know, that would mean that I'm cemented in history for my country. And not only that, but more importantly, so I have opened the path for others
yeah.
to cement their name in history as well, and even do it better than I did it, you know, do it in a better fashion than I did. That's the main goal. At the end of the day, the main goal is to open up the doors to a better boxer than Zizo, a better fighter than Zizo.
Oh, brilliant. Um, I just wanted to obviously thank you for your time and obviously
Thank
taking
you
time to
so
do this
much.
interview. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And I just want to obviously wish you the best of luck for the weekend and obviously your career going forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the platform. There's no getting used to this. So every interview is a dream come true. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much. Speak soon.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.